online. So I'd like to introduce to you, first up, we have various people. We have Harry from California. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Harry, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, James. Good evening, everyone. Hari Chini, part of Uber Tech Deals team. I'm responsible for CPaaS and IoT. Anything related to communication is
Fantastic.
kind of
So you're in California and look after
under
all the messaging and CPaaS and IoT for everything at Uber globally. So that's rather large. And also pleased to be joined by Ollie White. Hi, Ollie, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm very well, thanks to you.
Fantastic. So Ollie is someone I know very well. I see him about 3 or 4 times a week because Ollie is a fitness trainer at my local gym in the north of England. So believe it or not, we have Uber Global and we've got Ollie, fitness trainer in my local gym. But Ollie is here for a very, very good reason. So we were talking about small and medium-sized enterprise. We're talking about the opportunity for literally tens of millions of companies around the world who don't know about SMS or anything like that. Now, Ollie, could you just tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, a bit about Flax, where you are, and most importantly, how you found out about SMS text messaging? And it wasn't from me, by the way.
I'm a fitness instructor and personal trainer at Flax Fit 24 in Bingley. My role is kind of everything, aside from the general duties of making sure the gym run right, everything's okay for the members and stuff, everybody's happy and things. It would also include informing members of, say, changes to timetables and things like that. So we would contact people about anything regarding that. In terms of how it came across our messaging, so we were already aware that we could send mass emails to members through our membership management software. And as we were doing that regarding the class timetable, I believe it was around the bank holiday change maybe, or just a general class timetable change. We found the doctrine of SMS texting because we did have quite a few members that would maybe still turn up for a class that had been cancelled or moved or whatever the situation would be, saying that they hadn't received the email, whether we had the wrong email address on the system because they changed it since they signed up, or just a mistake made by a member of staff or anything like that, if there's a digit out of place or anything. So we used the SMS messaging and it just seemed far more successful. Most people got the messages. Most people didn't turn up or anything like that. I don't believe we had anybody stray out of the way from turn up to a class that had been cancelled or whatever the situation was at the time. We had a lot of people mention that they just got the SMS since we started doing it. So a lot more people received whatever information we were trying to send.
And I noticed straight away, and I came to you going, whoa, I've just received the SMS and I've never seen that before from you. And my first question for you was to work out, oh, hang on a second, how much is this costing you? I remember that, because you've got over 1,000 members and suddenly you're sending out text messages, a few of them probably a month, to 1,000 members here and there. That can rack up quite a bill quite rapidly. So I remember that. So thank you, Ollie. Now, Harry, we're talking about Uber. Can you just give us, I don't know, a few stats about Uber? Do you know how many customers, where you are, countries you operate, anything like that that you're aware of, how big you are globally in terms of rideshare and anything you've got going?
Sure. So Uber, so we operate in about 70 countries. We started off with rides business primarily, but then expanded during the COVID timeframe into the eats and the delivery space. So we offer food or delivery services in about 50 odd countries globally. All of them put together, the rides and the delivery piece, we have about 125 million active users on the platform every month, which means there is an opportunity and need to reach out to each one of them, given the right occasion, either for informational purpose or to engage the riders, eaters, as we call it, to do more on the platform.
Fantastic. So if there was ever a perfect example of the power of messaging, we have it with Ollie and Harry here. We've got a company with 1,000 customers. We've got a company with 125 million customers, 125,000 times bigger. And they're both getting results. Harry, what channels are you using today within Uber to engage? Because it's not just about engaging with your customers, so with the likes of Ollie and I who may use an Uber to go from Bingley to Bradford or whatever. It's also about that engagement to facilitate contact between your drivers and clients such as myself and Ollie. What are you using today? What have you found that might have worked or what hasn't worked? What have you seen?
So I think we started the traditional way of engaging our customers on the SMS side. So when a customer or a driver comes on board to Uber, we have we pass through different phases, starting with enrolling the drivers onto the platform, which involves exchange of information, KYC documentation, starting from that particular phase to actually being and keeping the customer or the driver happy, being them or incentivizing them to come every day onto the platform, and then towards the final phase where we keep engaging and try and derive or provide long-term value to the consumer, to the driver and rider, right? So in the first phase, we started with traditional SMS, where we were doing two-way conversational SMS, trying to onboard our drivers and riders. But then we kind of hit into a few technical challenges where SMS was not able to support us with the documentation.
Was that because of the difficulties of implementing the two-way, or what were the issues around SMS?
Yeah, so I think the primary issue was SMS outside of US and a few other countries did not support, document upload, for example. It was not native, or it was very difficult to have the same sender ID when you're having a conversation with your customer or a driver, right? These challenges led us to venture into other areas. We found some success with WhatsApp in countries like India and Brazil, which are by and large one of our biggest markets.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, beyond that, I think we have tried to be local to our customer base. We have tried Kakao in South Korea, Line in Japan, and a few other local channels which have rapid adoption and deeper penetration for us to make it easier to engage our providers.
Fantastic. So, Ollie, over to you. How easy is it for you with your gym management software, your customer engagement software? How easy is it for you to get an SMS out there to me, a customer?
From our experience, it's been quite easy. Yeah, we just have sort of a separate toolbar on our membership system on the computer at the gym. We can select if we want individual members or if we want to just send them to everybody. Usually it would be everybody. And then you have, after that, the options of either the email or the SMS message. Type in whatever information you're trying to get across. You send it, and within, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how much text there is, it reaches everybody it needs to reach.
Fantastic. So it's really, really easy. So we've got quite a few people in the room here. How many people here have gym memberships, go to a gym? Quite a few people. How many people receive notifications from the gym with SMS today? Not just with SMS, yeah. With SMS, yeah, fine. How many receive interactions from chat apps such as WhatsApp or Viber or anything like that from gyms? Sam, you're the only person. Oh no, sorry, we've got one more here at the back. So that's Ira. Yeah, that's two. So, Ollie, would your gym Flagfit 24? We've been having a conference all day here in Dublin talking about the power of if you're talking to your friends, talking to your work colleagues, you'll be using WhatsApp, you'll be using Telegram, other channels like that. So that we're used to for person-to-person communication. But there's some serious, huge power out there. We've been hearing all day about this. I've just been running a panel about that with Viber, who are very, very powerful in certain countries around the world in terms of their penetration, usage. Would you consider yourself or your business, if it was really, really easy to set up using the likes of WhatsApp with customers such as myself, if that was even going to get you more attention than SMS does? Is that something you would think of doing?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Being a small business gym, we're not huge on advertisement and the sales side of it. Mainly being the only gym of our kind of general health and fitness rather than a certain niche of fitness. It seems to be more if people need what we provide, they come straight to us and they can find us easily enough. If we were in a setting that required more advertisement for that, then 100%, yeah, we would look at things like you say, WhatsApp and things like that. As you say, we do use it within our business as staff to try and get all information across, as we have a lot of shifts that would cross over and things like that, or ones that might not, and staff might not interact between the crossovers. If there's any information we need to relay over, we would use a WhatsApp staff messaging service. We do have one for just the general staff, as well as one for the fitness instructors as well, if there's any other information regarding, say, bank holiday class changes again, or just differences that they might need to know and things like that from day-to-day functioning.
Okay, so that's good. So at least chat we can see here is being used internally within team members. So Uber, Harry, your team members are really your drivers. They're your staff. So we know the solutions that you're using on all of us, clients. Are you using, when you as Uber communicate regarding, it could be some contractual term changes or anything, any of your private interactions with your thousands, I don't know how many drivers you have working for you on the Uber side and the Uber Eats side, but it must be tens of thousands of people working for you. When you communicate with them, do you use the same channels as you would use to communicate with myself as a client, or do you do something differently? Would you use, for example, email more, or what are you using today?
Right. So I think from a driver perspective, we have about 7 million drivers across both rides and delivery, about 7 million and growing. So Uber is an app-first company, which means once you have installed the app, most of the communication is on the app. Anything related to experience, trips, and terms and conditions updation mostly happens on the app itself. So I think we probably have lesser challenges in terms of of reaching out to the customers if they are active, but we definitely use a lot of SMS during the authentication process, and if you want to maybe do a lot of promotional activities or notification, which is also a big part of our push towards using the SMS channel.
Thank you. So Ollie, your gym. So if I go to your website, or I'm contacting you guys at FlaxFit24 and I want to join, I'm interested about knowing more information that might not be on your website, then what channel do you use today for that?
So it used to be just a case of plain and simple, ring the gym, send us an email, and we'd answer whatever inquiries people would have. But since we've had our website refurbished, we now have an inquiry box at the bottom of the homepage for people to put in all their information. So we require just, mobile number, email address, age, just so we know they're 16 plus. And then they can type in whatever inquiry it might be, whether it's about just the general cost of the gym. We've had a few about one of our classes is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. So people asking about how that would work and things. It's open to all experience levels. That comes through to us as an email on the gym's main computer. And we take it from there. If it's easy to ring the person, we ring the person. If we don't get a hold of them, we'll send them an email, and just makes it a whole lot easier for us because this website takes that stress of having to get in touch straight away off of our shoulders.
Fantastic. So email still has a place in your business, and it's important to realise in our talks today, no one has really mentioned email at all, but still the largest channel globally in terms of transactions by far and away as an individual channel is email. So email is still being used a lot by businesses. And yes, we know on a very, very good day, an organization is doing well if 25% of the email are actually read and consumed, but it still clearly has a place in the business. So I'm sure there are many companies in this room who would help FlaxFit24 with implementing some WhatsApp and something else perhaps as well to make that engagement with prospective members even better and even faster. Now, we're joined a bit late by Paul Ruppert. Paul, glad you could make it. Hi.
Hello, James. Glad I finally got the link.
Yeah, you got there.
How are you today? Hello, everybody in the audience, whether you're at sea or in the presentation room. So
fantastic. Well, thank you. So we've got Paul. You're aware we've got Harry here from Uber. We've got Ollie from FlaxFit24, my local gym in the north of England. And we've got yourself. Could you just introduce yourself and get straight into it with you? We're here to talk about, about messaging and conversations and what you've done with the politics side of things in the US.
Well, James, you and I know each other from 20 years of experience in the messaging business, where I've been involved in pioneering companies as well as consulting back to the industry over the course of that time, whether it was Cinch or the original Mobile 365 and Infobip, and as well as private equity firms. But in my first career, right out of college, I was in the political and policy world in the US. I worked for a United States senator right out of college as a legislative assistant. Moved on to running political campaigns for the Republican National Committee. And mind you, we're talking about a period that's almost 30 years ago, where I ran a House race in Iowa, a Senate race in Ohio, was a regional political director on presidential political campaigns, as well as a trade association, a technology trade association lobbyist. So this is an interesting topic for me. It goes back a number of years, but ironically, I was involved in a company that everyone now is known as Cinch, but the platform was originally developed at a company called Mobile 365. And in 2004, myself and one of the other executives came into the RNC as well as the DNC, meaning the Republican National Committee, the Democratic National Committee, to pitch the idea of utilizing text messages in elections. Neither party bought into it, but it only took a little while longer to about 2008 when the Obama presidential campaign really utilized text messaging as part of their overall strategy. And just to tell you that the United States of America's election system is not one of the leading aspects of technology usage, I'd have to point out that in 2000, in the Philippines, text messages were used to overthrow a presidential candidate at the time. I think his name was God, I've forgotten his name, so forgive me for that. But it was about 2000 when that was started to be utilized, and I remember that from my own memory from so many years ago. James, you want me to go a little bit further? I mean, the reality is that text messaging, as we all know, is an extremely powerful communications tool that is a cultural phenomenon on a global basis. But as in all things, there are good things and bad things, because the nature of political communications, and this is something I can directly attest to because I used to write some of these things in the old days of snail mail, it's very apocalyptic, and you have to drive a sense of artificial urgency, because that's the nature of these types of engagements. In most cases, again, technically speaking, with elections, you have a utilization of what's called get out the vote, which is just a reminder using various types of technologies. We use them today, or we're familiar with them in text, but also email as well as telephone calls. And back then, it was primarily telephone calls, but now it's obviously email and text to drive people to get out and vote and become advocates for the various types of political initiatives and political campaigns. As a scale, in October of 2022, which was just this past year, in the last major federal election where the House and the Senate were all up for elections as well as local elections, it was estimated that a little over 1.3 billion political messages were sent out. And as I say, it's got good and bad. It's able to reach, and it's because it's glimpsable and because of its impact, which James was even asserting to earlier. Notwithstanding all that, there's a sense that at times that it's a violation of personal trust. And in many, many times, political campaigns are
Sorry, Paul,
notorious
when you
for.
say violation of personal trust, you mean people receiving an SMS from a political party, they view that as a violation?
Yeah, because as we view text, it's essentially a personal and almost a sacrosanct type of communication. As we all know, the average reply time to an SMS is a little under 3 minutes. I know you were talking about email earlier, and I think the average reply time for that is about 3 days, which also speaks to the power of messaging. But once you start getting into political advocacy, there are many people who respond disfavorably, unfavorably to that. And because of the nature of the communication, as I say, that artificial urgency in terms of getting out the vote, you've got to go out and help us. And many times, you may have made a contribution, but according to CTIA, which is the industry overseer of compliance and various types of regulations specifically to text messaging, the fact that you've made a political contribution does not mean that you've actively opted in for those types of communications. But nonetheless, the political campaigns are looking to be able to engage you any way they can. That's not the norm, but there's just that's just kind of the negative aspects of political campaign using text messaging.
Thank you very much. Harry, when Uber is looking to, it could be, again, with your own team members, your own drivers, whether it be on the Uber side or the Uber Eats side, or indeed with us, as customers of Uber or Uber Eats, when you're looking to do something super urgent, a real call to action, get something out there and done, what channel do you use? Is there one particular channel you turn to, and is it SMS, or does it vary from country to country?
Yeah, great question. So I think, in spite of all the challenges with SMS is still the most reliable, available channel for when it comes to CTA, or even in terms of
Call to action,
engagement.
CTA, call to action.
Yeah, call to action. It might not be immediate, but that is still the most effective channel as we see it.
Can I just ask as well, with a lot of big talk today about the commercial model around SMS text messaging, and the fact that in many different countries, again, I know clearly you've got a lot of customers in the US, but India is a massive market. I was there running an event last week, and I know the commercial model of SMS has changed markedly in the Indian marketplace. It's changed in many, many different countries. Are those added cost pressures something that Uber has picked up on, and you're thinking, well, do you know what? The costs for SMS text messaging are really, really increasing. So in this country in particular, because suddenly a mobile operator has increased the commercial model. And are you looking for other channels as a result, or is the additional cost worth it with SMS because SMS can do things that other channels can't? Because we've been hearing about the likes of Amazon and Meta and other people, particularly for authentications. And of course, you guys, if any of us download an app, we need authenticating. Are you too looking at other channels than SMS for that authentication?
Sure. Yeah. So I think India in particular, and some of these Middle Eastern countries, I want to say, the costs have been escalating every 6 months or on an annual basis, which impacts us significantly. Uber is not like a British Airways or United, where the ticket size is into hundreds of dollars. Our average ride size is super small compared to the other, let's say, for the airline industry. For them, it makes sense to send SMS at an escalated cost, but we become super cost sensitive, and it becomes prohibitive for us to maintain the same level of.
So what channels are you turning to in those situations, in those countries where that's the case?
So I think we are exploring other alternate channels, like WhatsApp, Vibers of the world at this time, and I think we'll probably we are very close to maybe rolling out some of these alternate channels as a medium of communication. And eventually, I think we are trying to reduce our reliance on SMS, at least in these countries where the prices are unreasonable from our point of view.
Fantastic. Paul, we're soon with the close of our session, but let's look at the US market and the commercial model of SMS within the US, but the US market in particular. And we look at the usage then of chat apps such as WhatsApp in the USA, and compared to other countries such as India, WhatsApp is used far, far less. And there's a direct correlation with the commercial model of SMS and usage of chat apps there. What's going to happen in the world of politics? Can politics move to chat apps like WhatsApp or not? Are there regulations in place? Will there be regulations in place? Because we know about the FCC and looking at SMS and SMS spam and SMS phishing, etc., etc. What's happening on the chat app side?
So keep in mind that the actual legislative mandate that oversees the compliance of text messaging as well as voice messaging is the Telecommunications Consumer Protection Act, which was written in 1991, which is now 32 years ago. So the technology is obviously exceeding the capability of the government to be able to react to that. I think that it's not necessarily the costs of the opportunity, but it's actually the reach of the opportunity that's going to be dictating how it might migrate to another technical platform. Specifically, as you just outlined, James, from text messaging now with authentication moving into various types of apps that are not text related. Once you start getting the consumer to be very comfortable with those types of different platforms, I think that's where the threat occurs in terms of the erosion of text messaging in a political context into a different type of platform, a different type of technology plattime
Paul,
may be more regulated or less regulated.
It doesn't matter what channel is used. It's all about effectiveness at the end of the day. So
exactly.
We're not championing, on this chat, we're not championing one channel over another. It's about using what's most effective at that point in time. So
yeah, that's why I say once the consumer starts behaving differently, we all have to follow that, don't we?
Yeah.
So,
okay. Ollie, we're coming to the close now, so thank you very much for joining us all the way from Bingley in the north of England, and I look forward to seeing you at the gym, probably on Friday, if you're working. You'll see me.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, no, it's been a real pleasure, and everyone, you've seen me on multiple panels over the past couple of years talking about how SMS, just basic text message, which has been around for 30 years, can really impact a business. And this was done by accident by Ollie. You found it by accident, and you've really latched on to the power of that. But what I can say, it's worth you speaking with your bosses and just getting your hands on some proper chat apps and using them in the business, because you really can grow your membership. And I can help you with that and introduce you probably to one or two people in this room. Harry, it's been a real pleasure seeing you. I look forward, hopefully, to see you within the MEF community sooner rather than later. We've been talking about that, but we'll see. And it's been a total contrast to having a brand here, 125,000. It's not often you get that. A brand 125,000 times bigger than another in the same conversation. And Paul, thank you very much for your insights, because the world of politics and messaging are very, very closely aligned. And I'm sure we'll be seeing messaging across multiple channels used in politics. But let's not talk about ChatGPT. There we go. Thank you very much for joining us. Harry, round of applause, please, for Harry. Ollie and Paul, very aptly from Washington. So thank you. Any questions? Sorry, before we go, that's a good point. Thank you, Ricardo. Any questions to any of these brands? We have one question at the back. Could you introduce yourself, Nick, please?
Hi, it's Nick Lane from Mobile Squared. This is a question for Harry. Hello, Harry.
Yes.
Given in the world of SMS, there's big price hikes around the world in lots and lots of markets, at what point, from your perspective, does a price hike force you into looking at an alternative channel? So is there like a 20% increase in the price, 50%, 100, 200, 300, 400?
Do you think he's going to answer that, Nick? Yeah, because everyone will just put the prices up to that level. If I was Harry, I wouldn't. So Harry, don't answer that. Yeah. Next question. Yeah. But if you want to give an answer, by all means, I'm sure the companies in this room would love to hear that.
Just think 4 times if it's 10%.
No, I just want to say, some of these markets we see prices which are more acceptable, countries like Colombia, but countries like India, Egypt, it's not sustainable. It's only a matter of time before, we completely move out.
Good. Well, I hope I've saved you from all these price changes you would have received from some of the companies in this room tomorrow. But there we go. Okay, any other questions? Yes, we have one question. We've got a question from Ira Cohen from MMD Smart.
Hi, this is Ira. This is also for Harry. What percentage of your messaging to your customers is done via the app as opposed to other channels, whether it's SMS or other chat channels?
So, again, I think I could be a little bit off on this one, but we do rely heavily on push notification. I want to say 70%. 20% goes to email, 10% I want to say is on SMS.
Okay, thank you very much. And we've got a question from Vladimir Smal from Lank Telecom.
Yes, and the third question is also to Harry.
Oh, poor Ollie, poor Paul. Come on.
So we're talking about price versus quality, and I assume for Uber, quality is important. So how do you, what do you say, like, what is the main factor for you to choose the alternative channel? Would it be conversion rate or pricing or, something in the middle?
So, yeah, I think both of them. Ultimately, I think I want to peg quality first and price second, because I could be paying, nickels and dimes, but if the quality is not good enough, then it defeats the purpose of using the channel. So I would, quality is still very important to us, but the quality has a price to pay, I guess.
And user experience has to be in there somewhere as well. You've got to keep your customers happy, yeah.
Well,
of course, yeah, I hope. Yeah. Excellent. Any more questions for anyone other than
I've got a question.
Harry? Paul, don't say it's for, is it for Harry?
For Nick and Aaron, and Nick for Nick and
Oh,
Ira.
I like it.
Are you
Speakers
guys
turning
going
the
off
tide.
to have a beer soon, or what's the story?
Yeah, we are. We're just going to be finishing this. Don't worry, Paul. That's it. Excellent. But that's it. That's it. Oh, one more question. So from Mesente.
Yes.
What's your name?
My name is Anneli.
Anneli from Mesente in Estonia.
Yes. I wanted to ask a question from Ali. So once
Yes.
you've made the decision to adapt SMS messaging, how was the sign-on process for you? Is there anything the industry can do to make it easier and more accessible for small businesses like yourself?
I'm not too sure. I have noticed that with using SMS messaging, we would get through to a lot more people than we otherwise might do. It seems to be a lot more of the younger member audience would not receive anything email orientated. So using anything SMS based is a lot more successful with them. As I said before, we're not mega big on advertising and the sales approach, but if we were, we would 100% go down SMS.
But you could change that. You could really, really change that very easily.
Yeah.
With some of the guys in this room who can really, really help you with that. And you can really grow that membership base of Flax with that help. Because it's easy to connect up. So, because what they're doing at the moment, they're just using the SMS within their gym management system at the moment, and they haven't looked outside of that. And it's moving outside of that is sometimes viewed as being hard, but some of the solutions here really are genuinely easy. So I may help you with that, in the coming days. And there could be some companies that may want to talk to me to help you, but there we are. Anyway, thank you. Good question. Thank you very much. Is that it from questions in the room? Ira again. There we go. We really are finishing. The last question. This is Ira Cohen from MMD.
Yeah, this is
Israel.
for Paul. Paul, you're invited for beer also in about 5 minutes, so if you want to jump over. But that's not the question.
My heart goes out to you guys.
You mentioned that in October there were 1.3 billion text messages sent running up to the elections, the November elections.
Just in that month, yes.
How much of that do you think was spam or not? You mentioned that some people don't like to get messages, like it's a trust issue. But I also get a lot of spam messages for companies that I didn't make donations to, that I never signed up to, from parties or from candidates that I never signed up to. And they're sending a lot of, because they want to get as many people looking at the messages as possible. How much of that is spam?
No, there was no estimate. This was from a New York Times article that came out, I guess, in November of 2022. And that's where the number came from. But it didn't break down spam versus, let's say, opt-in messaging. But the reality of political campaigns, such that they are, whether you're a contributor, whether you are a donor of time, or a supporter, oftentimes these lists get handed from one campaign to the next, meaning, a guy might have run for Congress in 2020, and then in 2022, somebody else is running for Congress from the same party, but those lists get exchanged, and that kind of creates this violation of privacy, if you will, in the context within the political context. It's not always the case, but that's kind of where the spam can infiltrate the system. Let's call it that.
If I remember from one of the Mexican elections, I think people were getting 100 campaigning messages a day until there was
exactly to that point. Again, in my research, there was the equivalent of the FCC, the Federal Communications or Ofcom in the Philippines, had to put out a notice that there were actually, you could go on to like Amazon or Alibaba and buy the same type of technical equipment that we all utilize for disaster messages or Amber Reliefs, et cetera, which send out millions of throughput of messages in some cases very quickly. And they were utilizing these boxes for means to being able to flood the SMS airways with various types of election notices. And this was a few years ago in which this occurred. I was thinking to myself, well, I hope that doesn't come to the U.S. anytime soon. So, yeah, there are a lot of ways of being able to circumvent the marshals at the gate, if you will.
There we go. That's it, folks. Ira, thank you for your question. Vladimir, everyone, thank you for your engagement with regards to questions. Speakers, thank you very much. It's a perfect end to the day, bringing some real brands and examples that people may not necessarily think of. And it just shows that whether you are the Uber of the world with 125 million customers, 14 million drivers working for you, or you're a gym in a small town in the north of England with 1,000 potential customers signed up to use you, the power of messaging is real. And there's plenty more for our industry to do. So, Ollie, thank you very much. See you very soon in the next 2 or 3 days. Harry, good seeing you. Be nice to see you at an industry event soon. And more within MEF. Very, very much appreciated. Have a good day in California. And Paul, have a good rest of the day in Washington. And I'll see you at ITW.
Indeed. 2 weeks, please.
Thank you.